Ah, cool spot. The early 1990s mascot for the lemon lime soda 7-Up, which was branded as the Un-Cola to rival not just other lemon lime sodas, but colas as well. In an attempt to bring this clear, bubbly soft drink up the ranks of sodas, the unassuming red dot in the 7-Up logo sprung to life in the marketing campaign in the form of a slew of TV commercials. He was a spot and he was cool, as evidenced by his totally cool sunglasses, and he really wanted you to drink 7-Up. After forcibly transforming people's cola drinks into 7-Up in commercials, Cool Spot made its way over to the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo to bring the word of how totally awesome the Un-Cola is to children all around. And honestly, it kind of worked, for a little while. 7-Up came to be my personal favorite beverage as a very small impressionable child. I was even excited to see him in candy like Sodalicious, the soda-flavored gummy snack. It was all thanks to a licensed game of the Dr. Pepper 7-Up Corporation, developed by Virgin Games. But looking back, what could one realistically expect from a licensed game about some soda and a red circle with sunglasses? Is it crabs? Spiders? Killer toys? More crabs? Maybe it's mice in pajamas. Maybe it's even more crabs. Perhaps it's likely to be none of these things. A character with no backstory other than it's on a crusade to sell soda doesn't have a lot to go off of. Giving levels a rigid theme without being too extrinsic and focusing on the level design and gameplay elements like they've done may have been the right decision. I can't say Dirty Attic is a particularly sensible theme, but at least they got it right with the first level. You're at a beach, you're gonna want a cold drink. I can at least see the connection here. The staff might want to look into cleaning up this place though. These crabs are everywhere. Maybe that's why Cool Spot is here, to help clean it up. Actually, the real reason Cool Spot is here is to save the other spots. They've all been captured and put into cages. According to the manual, Wild, Wicked, Wily Will has been trying to capture a real live spot to prove to the world that they really do exist. While we never see this Wily Will, as there are no boss fights whatsoever, the other spots appear at the end of the stage inside of a cage. Once you break the lock and set them free, it's on to the next level. In between each level is a bonus level. Now here's something that actually fits the motif. The bonus levels take place inside a bottle of 7-Up. Your mission here is to collect a cool letter by writing bubbles of carbonation upwards and search around and find the letter before time runs out. If you get the letter in each bonus level, it spells out Un-Cola. You can spend a letter on a continue if you need to, if you run out of lives. And hey, get this, if you spell Un-Cola on hard mode without using continues, you get a special secret screen at the end of the game, which you can take a picture of and mail to Virgin Games for a cool prize. Alright, here we go. Now everyone will think I'm super cool. There we go. So what was so great about Cool Spot anyway? It was enough for my kid self to favor the Un-Cola and admire this disc-esque mascot. Well, for a game that's a blatant advertisement that goes beyond mere product placement, it's surprisingly well made. Graphics are nice and clean with some fluent and lively animations. Mario and Sonic games were of the most popular games of this era, and, at least from a glimpse, this didn't look too far behind. The level designs really weren't too bad. All of them were pretty maze-like without being too unnavigable. It's pretty easy to get lost if you're not paying attention, but there's enough recognizable locations in each level to get an idea of where you're going. And with all the cool points, yes, that's what they call their coins, because everything is so cool, you need enough of these to complete the level. You'll be needing to run around and explore the level fully, especially if you're going for the bonus level, which requires you to collect even more. In fact, you need to collect every last one if you're playing on hard mode. To a kid at the time, this may seem cool and interesting at first, but Cool Spot also has some real issues. It can be a bit frustrating trying to collect everything before ending the level, especially when you're racing against the clock. For the harder difficulties, it's practically a necessity to have the levels memorized in order to have everything completed in time. Heck, even on easy, finishing the levels require you to know the levels at least a little bit. You really must have been expected to play this game over and over and over before you could actually complete it. At times it can be very difficult, even unfairly so. This is especially true for the level Waiting Around, which I believe was created to be a run killer. Due to the view generally being so zoomed in, there's little around you that you can really see. This level expects you to make jumps on tiny platforms that you can't see in midair, on top of some of these platforms tipping if you stand on them for a second, if that, sending you to a watery grave. Not to mention, this one really is easy to get lost in. You're supposed to just know that you have to jump into this bubble, drift way to the right, Then jump to a specific blimp here, a task in and of itself that isn't as easy as it looks. I imagine this is where the game ended for most players, and it's only the 4th level. While there's a total of 11 levels, after level 6, you start going backwards through the same levels in reverse order, but with a night theme until you get back to the first. These were changed in some ways to be more difficult, or were made into a completely new level. Waiting around is not revisited, but is replaced by a much more harrowing level, Locomotive, which is a tedious uphill climb with precise platforming. Miss any jump and you're sent back to the bottom, forcing you to start over. This one really is Loco. Despite the game taking its toll halfway through, generally as a result of too many enemies, or its harsh time limit, making it plain arduous after a while, it does have its decent points, which are immediately apparent, like its style, its own jams reminiscent of beach music and classic rock, pretty satisfying sound effects, and of course some satisfactory controls. A bit slippery, yes, but fine. Which is all pretty impressive for a licensed game like this, which primary goal is to sell you on a product. It really is fun from the moment you turn it on. The same cannot be said of almost any other game of this sort, like Pepsi Man or Chester Cheetah, Too Cool for School, or even more recent games like Sneak King, fail to even attempt at making a decent and enjoyable game. And that's what really makes Cool Spot stand out. No, it's not an amazing game, but it is decent, and most importantly, fun. Okay, well, fun until it gets annoying and frustrating, but still, that's a lot more than these other food product-based games can say. Whether or not having a decent game was helpful to the company, who's to say? People knew, or at the very least kids knew, who Cool Spot was. Maybe it helped in the short run, but the so-called Uncola has not toppled the cola giants, with Coca-Cola and Pepsi still leading the market share. Maybe they ought to bring Cool Spot back, just a full-on AAA 3D platformer the world would clamor for. 7-Up will reign supreme. Well, maybe not. This may be good enough just being a tiny piece of history. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Hey, if you liked this video, I'd super appreciate if you left a like. And also, if you'd like to, consider subscribing, and I'll talk about games some more.